The Takeover.
Okay. Did we start? Yeah, we did. That's how I start.
Takeover.
Now, there's a lot of things we're going to get into. When I speak, and when I speak, and when I speak.
This is the Takeover.
All right, we started. All right, we're starting, and welcome to the Takeover. Welcome to the Takeover, and you know what? This week I did it a little bit differently. I did it a little bit differently because I started it right when I started it. Sometimes I start it, and then I come in, and then you guys see me come in, and then I started, and then I push record, and then you hear my voice, and then I'm checking the levels. But I know the levels are good. I know the levels are good because, we're back at home base. I haven't been traveling with the equipment, so the levels should stay the same, right? The levels stay the same because nobody's touching the levels. And if anybody was touching the levels, then I would get upset. It's a really big coffee going on right now. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the Takeover with Michael Lenoci. And you knew that that's what this was, but we're having a good episode already. It's already a good episode, but I'm hanging out, and it's good to be back. Last week's episode was quite the emo one, huh? How about that? You don't have that every week. How do I feel about it a week removed? It is what it is. It is what it is. Interesting feedback is what it is. That's it. We got to go through the loops of everything. Shout out to the new team members that we got. We got new team members. And again, if you're part of the Patreon, cool. But we're trying to transition everybody to the memberships over on the YouTube page, so you can be a part of the team members. Team meetings. We have team meetings every week. So if you want to be a part of team meetings, sign up. Check it out. You get team meetings every week, if depending on what level you choose. You could become a member on the YouTube page or the Patreon. Also, check out the Takeover Clips page if you're a big fan. Go to @the Takeover Clips on YouTube, and it's just another clip page that I'm trying to make bigger. And don't forget to leave those 5-star reviews if you're listening, okay? And like every week, like most weeks, each episode is brought to you by our very thankful sponsor, Manscaped. We are very thankful for Manscaped, and we want you to be a part of Manscaped, because guess what? It's the holidays, right? The holidays are here, and it's before Thanksgiving, so now's a good time to get stuff. You can get stuff on Black Friday, of course, but you can always get stuff on Manscaped. If you go to manscaped.com and you at checkout, you use the code TAKEOVER, you can actually get free shipping and 20% off by using that code. But also, you go to manscaped.com and check out all the different products they have. Right now, they do have a special promotion going on where you are you have a whole package that comes with you have, first of all, the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer, which is waterproof. We've already talked about how it's waterproof, which is crazy because you can shave in the shower. Ladies are always shaving in the shower. Now men get to do it, because men, when we're in the shower, what do? All we do is really wash our body. We're in and out in less than 10 minutes. Is anybody really taking longer than 10 minutes to have a shower? No, because we never really have to shave in the shower. Now you can take showers longer than 10 minutes, and it's excused because you have the Lawnmower 3.0, which is waterproof, all right? You have the Weed Whacker, which we've already talked about, which I use because it trims my nose hairs and makes my nose itch less, even though I'm about to sneeze, okay? Bless you. And that's not COVID. That's from using the Weed Whacker, because the Weed Whacker helps me trim all of the delicate holes in my body, like my ears and nostrils. Excuse me. The performance package, which they're promoting this month, also comes with what is it? It comes with the special deodorant for your balls, which stops from chafing, which is great because listen, if you're going to be in the same underwear or if you're wearing swim shorts, all right, swim shorts definitely make you chafe a lot. But if you have swim shorts and you're chafing, then you get this deodorant. It helps you out a lot because guess what? It's fucking it's ball toner and it keeps your boys fresh all the time. It makes them fresh all the time and it's ball toner, okay? So, listen, I don't have to pitch all the different products for you. You just know that there's a performance package, okay? There's a performance package like in cars, all right? If you have a performance package in cars, what does it do for the car? I'm asking you a question, answer it rhetorically. I'm rhetorically asking you a question, but I actually want you to answer it by yourself out loud. Like, what does a performance package do for a car? It makes it better. So a performance package from Manscaped to you is going to make your life better. Why? Because you got no hairs coming out the nose, you got no hairs coming out the ears, and you're not chafing anymore, and you got comfortable underwear because you got Manscaped underwear, and you got a Manscaped t-shirt that's soft, and you can walk around in it. You can wear it at the gym. Great gym shirts. We all want cool gym shirts that make people go, what is that? And you go, Manscaped. I got it from Manscaped. Where did you hear about Manscaped? On the Takeover with Michael Lenoci. And that's what you're going to use, the Takeover code, when you go to manscaped.com and you check out all the products. At checkout, you use the code Takeover, and you get free shipping and 20% off. So that's why we like using manscaped.com. So shout out to Manscaped, and we want to smell good everywhere, so we're going to use their products, and we appreciate the time we have with them. So make sure you check that out, and we'll have a good time with that. So let's get to the show, though. Let's get started with the show, and since we brought up the underwear thing, I'll already bring up this part. You know, it's been a fun week. It's been a fun week. It's only Wednesday right now, so shooting the podcast a little bit earlier. But you know, working out. Somebody sent me a dumbbell. I forgot who this was. I know somebody had hit me up on Instagram asking where to ship stuff. I don't remember what his handle was, but I got something in the mail and I picked it up and I got it and it was really heavy. And for a second, I thought it was a bomb. I was like, is someone trying to kill me? Is someone trying to bomb me? Because I've seen documentaries. I've seen a lot of documentaries where people blow up from opening up packages. I've seen Forensic Files episodes where people blow up. I've seen people blow up before. This isn't a thing I'm making up. I literally saw that the package was kind of opened already at the top. I mean, it was taped, but there was a hole. So I was like, okay, there's no wires. So I opened up that part and then carefully saw that something else was very heavy in there. And then I opened it up and it was a 25-pound dumbbell. How about that? Literally changed my whole workout regimen. Okay. Added to it greatly. So now I have a 25-pound dumbbell to go with my 15-pound dumbbells. And also my buddy Mike sent me bands, like these rubber bands. They're like not rubber bands, but they're bands, workout bands, and they work really well for like, especially for arms or shoulders or biceps or triceps. And you could do some back stuff. It's hard to do chest stuff unless you have a bench. Another thing that I might need, a bench. A bench would be huge. A bench would be huge to add to the workout game, but I don't have that. But with everything I got right now, I don't think I would ever have to go back to a gym again. I got everything I need. I could only add to it. You know what I mean? It's almost like, you know, you have a good quarterback on a football team, and I don't want to go into sports a lot because even though I know this is a great sports podcast, but we don't talk about sports. But it's like if you have a good quarterback, you're just adding wide receivers, running backs, because you have the main situation. You have the main skill set thing that you need. I have the main stuff. I can get by with what I have, but if I add more workout shit, it makes my life a little bit better. Makes it better for sure. So that was a nice little surprise, getting the 25-pound dumbbell. Maybe it inspired me to work out harder this week and get more into it. That being said, got that, and then I got annoyed today. And this is what's going to happen. I got annoyed because I'm doing laundry, and I know I find myself talking about laundry a lot on here, okay? I find myself talking about laundry a lot on here because I do it myself. I don't have someone doing it for me, and that would be great if they were doing it for me, but I don't have that because I haven't met someone to do it for me yet, or I don't have my mom around, or, you know, whoever else would do it for me. I don't think I'll have anyone ever do my laundry, I'll be honest. Even if I was married with kids, I don't want my wife doing my laundry. You know what I mean? Maybe she would. Actually, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about sometimes. And you guys know that. You guys know that I'll talk about things and then have an opinion about it. And then halfway through me telling you my opinion about something, realize that actually that's not my opinion. And I'm going to switch it and I'm going to go into a different opinion. And that's fine. You could be that way, even though last week's episode, at the end of the episode, I thought it was funny and weak how I could do that to a 30-year-old. This is different. If I'm riffing about something, trying to find an angle on a certain subject, now we're just exploring. We're just getting to know each other. But I would never change my opinion on something that I feel strongly about as an adult. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Because I know that I say a lot of words and then it gets confusing. My friends back home who I stayed with, they listened to my podcast episode because I was like, you should listen to this episode because I talk about you guys, my family friends. They're like, why does it sound like your podcast is fast forward a little bit? And I go, no. That's just my cadence. This is how quickly I go. You can slow it down if you want, but then it's going to be a 2-hour podcast. Think about how long my podcast would be if I spoke normally. I'm doing an hour at this speed. Imagine what I would do if I slowed it down a lot like this. Then you would have to listen to my podcast for about another hour and a half to 45 minutes if I went this slow. And then it's also not as fun. If I speak this slow, things take longer for you to process in your brain, and we are learning slower, and it's not as good. I was upset today because I was doing laundry like I was saying before. And as I'm doing laundry, I finish the washer, I transfer my clothes. See how it would be if I went that at that speed? That's if you slowed it down, but this is the normal cadence, and this is how I'm going to talk from here on out. So anyways, I was doing laundry like I was talking about, and as I'm transferring the clothes from the washer to the dryer, I open up the dryer, and there's socks in the dryer. 2 of them. Matching. I don't know if they were matching, but there's 2 socks in the dryer. And then I know in my head my roommate had just done laundry. So I took those 2 socks and I threw them across the kitchen onto the floor. Because let me tell you something right now. If you're the type of person that's leaving clothes in the dryer after you take your clothes out of the dryer and you think you're done with laundry and you go to your room and you undo your laundry and you don't notice some stuff missing or you don't double check, that you can't be that type of person. You can't be that type of person. You can't be, you're less of a human if you do that. You're less of a human. You're less of a human if you are leaving things in the dryer. And I'm not talking about leaving like clothes in the dryer if like you are, I'm not talking about if you put your load into the dryer and then you dry it and you leave the house and you forget about it for 3 hours and there's a whole load in the dryer. I'm talking about when you unload the dryer and you bring your clothes back to your room and you fold them and you put them away, but you left like a pair of underwear or like a pair of socks or underwear in the dryer. That's like, what are you doing? You can't be doing stuff like that. That's less of a human, and that's annoying, and we can't live like that. Why? What's the thought process behind that? That means you're leaving things behind, and you're not staying focused. And I'm not saying you have to be focused all the time, but like if you want to be good at what you're doing, you got to always be detailed and focused about everything, minor little details like that. Wouldn't you agree? Would you agree that someone who's a little bit more successful is going to notice small details like that? Like if I did, like, what are the chances that the socks were matching? 1. No. Okay, now we're in a new subject right now because how many people have all of the same socks? Raise your hand. Does anybody have all of the same socks? There's no way. Nobody has all of the same socks because I'm always re-upping in socks. Okay, I've talked about this before. I talked about how before, like, the reason we do laundry is because we're running out of socks and underwear. That's the majority reason we're doing laundry, right? Nobody's doing laundry because, oh my God, I ran out of pants. Like, because you could wear pants multiple days in a row. That's never the issue. Or I'm running out of shirts. I'm running out of hoodies. That's never the issue of why you're doing laundry. You're doing laundry because you ran out of underwear and socks. That's the number 1 reason. The number 2 reason would be because your hamper's overflowing, right? It'd be one of those 2 reasons, okay? So if you sometimes you'll buy more socks or underwear because you're like, yo, I'm running out of socks and underwear quickly. That happens over time. Over time, you're like, why am I running out of socks and underwear? Because you're like losing them or they get holes in them and you throw them away, right? So you always buy more socks. How often are you remembering like this is the exact design of socks or style of socks I wear? That's like I feel like underwear is easy. Underwear, I'm pretty consistent with my underwear now. Like I have the same style underwear, but with socks, I have so many different styles of socks. I have low cuts, but ankle cuts, black socks, a pair of white socks, but really low cut ones, long or shin size socks. Like I just have a lot of different types of socks, right? I think that's a fair assumption that people have different types of socks. Like I think going forward, the goal would be to have a lot of the same socks. That's a very an attainable goal, but it's actually very hard too because you're not thinking about it necessarily because how often are you really buying socks? So my whole thing is like if you did have about 30 pairs of the same socks, then you don't have to worry about the next problem I'm going into. But my whole thing was I found 2 socks. Now, what are the chances that those socks were the same and they were actually a pair that my roommate had? I'm going to say that they weren't. I'm going to say that he has a lot of different style socks. So socks. I'm gonna say he has different style socks. So that means that I threw 2 socks out. That means he did his laundry, went to his room, and put all his stuff away. And at one point, he had to have registered that, like, oh wow, I'm missing 1 sock from each style of pair, right? Or like, unless we are assuming that he has all the same socks. I don't think that's a thing because I've seen his socks around the house. I think he has different style socks too. So that means that he took the loss. That are you taking the loss? You know what I mean? I know there's the joke about like, hey, what happens to the lost sock? Every time I do the laundry, I lose a sock. Is that really true? That happens less and less as an adult because I'm very detailed at the transfer. And if I'm missing a sock, then I go, it must have got stuck in a pant leg or a hoodie or an underwear, and I gotta like shake it out. Okay, but I'm rarely losing socks, maybe 3 a year. And I think that's below average. I would say losing 3 socks a year is less than average. I would say the average person loses 7 to 8 socks a year. I would think that's fair. Now, if you have a family, even more. If you're a single guy and you live and you're doing your laundry by yourself, right? You're a single guy doing your laundry by yourself. No reason you should be losing more than 3 socks a year. That's the cap. That's the cap. If you're losing more than 3 socks a year, then you have a problem paying attention to detail. That's what my point of all of this is. That's what the whole point of this is you're not paying attention to detail if you're losing more than 3 socks a year. Now, if you're a family man with like kids and a wife, you could lose up to 15 pairs of socks a year. You could lose 15 socks. So that ruins 15 pairs. That's fine. But then you also can mix and match with like other stuff you have. And then I have gym socks as opposed to going out socks. I have different style socks too. Now you might be asking yourself, has Michael been talking about socks for 10 minutes? Yes. And that's the point of this is that we're free and we're relaxed and we're having a good time and I just filled part of your day. I filled part of your day and made you think differently about socks. And that's why we listen to the takeover. The takeover is to make you feel better about yourself and make yourself and you want to grow and you want to learn about yourself and you want to become a better person. And I made you a better person because now I made you think about something that's not that important that is actually important and it's going to make you feel better that you are better at handling your sock situation going forward. And that's the point of this. That's the point of what I'm doing here. Should I have not worn a hoodie on this episode? Yes. Is it not as cold as I thought it would be? Yes. Am I regretting it already? Yes. Do I think I'm going to cut the podcast, take the hoodie off, and then come back and start recording it again? I do think it's possible that I could do that. Either way, we're having a grand old time, okay? We're having a grand old time, and I'm sorry about itching my nose a lot this episode, but something happened. I think it was the sneezing. Either way, fuck you. Okay. Here's the thing about we got things. So this episode, I'm looking at the calendar and Thanksgiving is a week from tomorrow, right? Yes. Thanksgiving is a week from tomorrow. So Thanksgiving in LA is okay, here's what I got. This is what I got about. I got this going. Thanksgiving in LA, like finishing okay. Here is what we're doing. Okay, it's okay. This is what it is. This is what it is, okay? Thanksgiving in LA is very special now. Now that this will be my 10th one. This will be my 10th Thanksgiving in LA. That's 10 Thanksgivings I've been here. That's what that means, in case you didn't know what things mean. It's special. It's a different kind of energy, okay? I appreciate it more now because now I think a lot of Catholic people or people not Catholic people who celebrate Christmas, they don't go home twice unless you're on the West Coast. Like I have a Seattle buddy, he goes home for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but that's a 2-hour flight, right? If you're from Portland or Oregon or anywhere else in California, Nevada, anywhere on the West Coast, you can go home for both holidays. But if you're from New York or if you're from Florida, if you're from the East Coast or you're from Ohio, whatever, Pennsylvania, you're not you're not usually going home twice around this time of the year. You stay for Thanksgiving and then you go home for Christmas. Or, maybe some Jewish people go home for Thanksgiving and then for Hanukkah they stay in LA for the holidays, okay? That's usually what the vibe is if you're from the East Coast because you don't want to go twice. I mean, some people go twice, but I'm like it's too much. I don't need to go twice. I don't need to go to Florida twice in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? That's basically what you're doing because Thanksgiving ends and then December is yeah, and then you would go home in 3 weeks for Christmas. So it's like, why am I going twice? So I've always spent Thanksgiving in LA. Now Thanksgiving in LA is totally different from anyone else's experience all over the country. It literally is. Now people have Thanksgivings around the world, around the country where they will go to a friend's house or go to a neighbor's house because they can't make it back for the holidays. Sure, I get that happens all the time, but most Thanksgivings all over the country, people are traveling. It's the most traveled weekend of the year. The next week is the most traveled week of the year. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that's a fact. I promise you, it's a fact. You can look it up. It's more than Christmas because everybody celebrates Thanksgiving and they all want to see each other and their relatives, which maybe is not going to be a thing because of COVID, but which is sad. But it's also like, hey, let's appreciate. You'll Zoom it or something. I don't know what the explanation is or what the solution is for this year. But my point is, for Thanksgiving, it's pretty much the same. Everybody's with their family, they're seeing their family, and maybe at night they'll meet up with some friends. Or the biggest going out, I don't know if you guys knew this, the biggest going out day of the year is actually the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. That's the biggest going out day. Again, this year will be different, but it is like the biggest party day of the year, and that's another fact, okay? Because nobody's working Thursday, so they all party on Wednesday. They go out a lot, okay? So that being said, most Thanksgivings are similar across the country, but in LA it's special because it's less family. It's a very friendsgiving thing. It's a friendsgiving thing all over LA. And I know that people have friendsgivings in other parts of the country, but it's not it's like, "Oh, that's what we did that one year." "Oh, in 2016 we did a friendsgiving and we live in Cincinnati." Yeah, I know that does happen. But in LA, all over LA, it's a friendsgiving. Even if people have a family Thanksgiving in LA, there's other people that are stopping by usually. It's a very friendsgiving thing, and that's what's cool about LA is because there's a lot of hopping around to different Thanksgiving parties, which has always been fun for me. I loved hopping around Thanksgiving, and then there's also more places are open too on actual Thursday Thanksgiving here in LA, so that's different. I mean, again, all of this is different and not going to be this way this year, but that's why I like to be here for I like to be in LA for Thanksgiving is because there is that special thing that you start to appreciate about LA that you're bouncing around and you're spending it with different friends and different people that you normally wouldn't even hang out with, but you just connected with them because for whatever reason they're like, hey, I'm not going back home, so I'm going to be here this year. And I'm someone who's always been here for Thanksgiving. So that's always fun. And I think that's what's special about LA's Thanksgiving as opposed to the rest of the United States. I think that most people are spending it with their families. So that's what's kind of exciting about spending Thanksgiving in LA. So I don't know. I'm excited about it. I don't know what I'm doing this year, but I think we'll probably just do a potluck again. It's like you have a bunch of people come over and just bring different dishes. But it's also a last minute plan. Like most people, I would feel like have their situations planned out already all over the country. But like in LA, we'll all start figuring out on Mondays and Tuesdays. We'll be like, so what are we doing? Where are we going? Who's doing what? Who's doing this? And yeah, I think that's what is going to happen. So I think I'm gonna have people here. I think that will be the idea. The best part about hosting a Friendsgiving is you have food for weeks. And if I know anything, it would be a smart time to host a Friendsgiving because then I don't have to spend money and I have plenty of food to hold me over until I go back to Florida for Christmas, which I think I'll spend even more time. Okay. Now, that being said, this is what I really want to talk about with Thanksgiving. Okay. there's a lot of people, and I say this every year, and I stand behind it every year, but there's a lot of people that they want to know what they're supposed to do with the Christmas tree situation. Okay? They want to know what they're supposed to do, and people are throwing up the Christmas tree too soon. And I know that this is a hacky thing that people are always talking about. They're like, "Oh, are you going to get mad that you're putting up Christmas decorations too early?" That is a fucking thing. That is a thing. And I'm sorry I swore, but I promise you that's a thing. It is too soon. There's a golden rule, and I'll explain to you why it should be this way, and it should always be this way. And I have to stress this every year, and nobody believes me or listens and appreciates it because everybody's so eager. Everybody's always wants to have fun too quickly. They don't want to appreciate things. It's like having a Super Bowl party for your team that hasn't even made the Super Bowl yet. Like, relax. Like, let's have a good time. Enjoy the process. You know what I mean? Don't celebrate before the end of the game. Okay? Win the game first. I don't know if that's the right analogy I want to use, but I could edit this and make this clip look better later. Doesn't matter. The point is, no Thanksgiving, and I mean no Christmas tree until Thanksgiving is over. All right? You're taking advantage of the Thanksgiving holiday. You're not giving it enough credit. And then some people will be like, "No, but isn't it prettier to have Thanksgiving with a Christmas tree?" No, it's not. No, it's not at all. Okay? Because that's not the rules. The rules are here. There is no Christmas tree until all the Thanksgiving leftovers are done. And that's the way it's got to be, okay? That's the way it has to be because there's a special holiday you're forgetting about. That's the rule already, all right? No Christmas tree until Thanksgiving leftovers are done. That's the rule because you're celebrating Thanksgiving. So let's appreciate the holiday. You're not appreciating it. And I don't want to hear the excuse of being like, "No, but we're like the energy of the Christmas tree while you're having Thanksgiving." It's like, no. You're you know what you're doing? You're literally throwing a Snickers on top of a sundae. Like, just chill. The sundae is good enough. But now you want to put a Snickers on top of the sundae. Like, you're already adding too much. You're making it, you're overwhelming it. It would be like having Nutella on top of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like, why are you trying? You're being a fat kid. You're being a fat kid who loves sugar when you have a Christmas tree during Thanksgiving. Like, stop it. Okay, you're disrespecting Thanksgiving. Okay, that's almost like getting your girlfriend a dozen roses and a box of chocolates on New Year's, the day after New Year's, because you're like, "Hey, Valentine's Day is in next month, so I wanted to give it to you on the 3rd of the year." Like, you don't do that. You like, or it's like getting drunk on Valentine's Day with your girlfriend, and she's like, "Why are you so wasted?" Be like, "It's St. Patrick's Day is next month." Like, chill out. You're not enjoying the holiday and letting the holiday sit there and resonate with you. So that's why I strongly believe there is no Christmas tree until Thanksgiving leftovers are done, because you're forgetting about a special holiday. There's a special holiday in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it's called the Christmas tree day. Okay? There's a special day that should be made for going to get a Christmas tree, putting the Christmas tree up. When I was growing up, that was a thing. We moved on from Thanksgiving. My mom put the decorations for fall and Thanksgiving away, right? She put those away, and then it was like, "Let's bring out the box with the Christmas decorations. Let's go pick out the tree." If you have a fake tree, fine, but real tree is a better experience, especially if you're a homeowner. Always get a real tree. If you're a homeowner, this is another rule, a side rule. If you're a homeowner, you don't get fake trees. Homeowners must and always have a real tree. That's the rule. Because why are you being lazy? You're a lazy piece of shit if you have a fake tree in a house that you own. That they don't go together, okay? You have to become a better person. If you want to be a good person in this world, then you do your job and you appreciate the holiday in the spirit of driving to go pick out a Christmas tree with your loved one, your fiance, your wife, your family, your kids. That is a special thing. That is a special thing that creates memories. That's a holiday itself. That's the holiday in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So you need to do your job and go get a real Christmas tree if you own a house. Now, For people like me, you have a fake one. Because who are we really doing this for? Ourselves. We just want to walk in and see it, and it makes me feel good to see the Christmas tree. So it's allowed. If you have roommates, you can have fake Christmas tree. Only people with roommates can have fake Christmas trees, okay? Fake Christmas trees are for people like us, okay? We have roommates. We just want to feel like we're a part of the spirit and we're a part of the game. Fake Christmas trees are for people who are a little bit more sad, okay? Sad people have fake Christmas trees. If you're a happy person with a family and a house that you own, you can't be getting a fake Christmas tree because then that means maybe you're having an affair. Maybe you have a secret family. Something else is going on. If you have a fake Christmas tree and you're well off and you have a nice house and you're married with kids and you have a fake Christmas tree, some deeper shit is going on. There's some deeper shit going on and you don't want to talk about it, but we all know. We know that you're doing something behind people's backs. Okay, you're doing stuff behind people's backs because what's wrong with you that you don't want to celebrate Christmas tree day? All right, there's a special day for Christmas tree and going to get a Christmas tree. And even if you have the fake Christmas tree, going back on why you have to wait until the leftovers are done, because that's a holiday. Even putting up the fake Christmas tree makes me and my roommates feel good because we all look at it and we go, you know what? We feel like we're normal a little bit. And that's what's beautiful. That's the beautiful part of the fall that people are forgetting. And that's why you don't disrespect Christmas tree day holiday and Thanksgiving because you're separating the two. But if you do the Christmas tree shit before Thanksgiving, it's like you ruin that magic. You're a Grinch in a way. You're ruining it. Like you're trying to have too much fun. It's like dude, having a Christmas tree before Thanksgiving is like eating all of the candy at a movie theater before the movie starts. Why do you want to be that person? When you go see a movie, do you finish all of the candy before the movie starts? Yeah, only fools do. You know who does that? Amateurs. Adults don't do that. Pros don't do that. If I go to a movie theater, I've learned from my mistakes in the past, right? I've lived 36 years. So if I go to the movie theater and I buy candy and a Coke, I conserve it a little bit and I wait until after the last preview. That's when I start it because everybody knows it's more enjoyable to eat the candy during the actual movie. Now, when people are like, oh, they do that joke of like, oh, I finish all the candy before even the movie starts. Bro, you're not learning from your mistakes. You're not learning from your mistakes and you're an amateur. That's the problem. There's simple rules to life that you can learn from your mistakes and figure it out to have a better experience. You will have a better experience in the movie theater if you eat the candy during the movie you went to go see. If you finish it before, you're an amateur and you're not learning from the mistakes you made when you were in middle school. Okay? So stop doing that. That's a simple mistake. Same thing with putting up a fucking Christmas tree before Thanksgiving. You're trying to finish the candy before the movie. Stop. Why are you doing that? Like, you're ruining the experience. You're ruining a great experience because now the Christmas tree's up and you're like, yeah, I like looking at it, but now here's Thanksgiving. And then after Thanksgiving, you're like, can't wait till Christmas. No, you fucked up the magical day, which is let's get a Christmas tree today. Like that in itself, it's its own holiday. Why would you want to ruin that? Because you don't even know about that experience because you're making a mistake. And I'm telling you this from experience. I used to be that person, but I've learned from my mistakes. And now I know that a Christmas tree is special and it should come after Thanksgiving. And specifically after all of Thanksgiving leftovers are done, which usually shouldn't go more than 3 days because it gets bad and then you throw it out anyways. But listen, that's the way it should be. I'm not doing this because I'm being mean or I'm hating on people that do it. I'm just telling you that they're living wrong and they're ruining the experience and they're not living life to the fullest. I promise you, life is better if you do it the way I'm telling you to do it. I promise you that's the way you should do it. And there's no reason to do it any other way. And if people could argue about this all day in the comments, they could argue with it, but they're wrong. I'm telling you to live life to the fullest is to do it that way. Thanksgiving, Christmas tree day holiday, then Christmas. There's 3 holidays there. Sorry if I got mad, but I'm just saying. I think we got what we needed there. I felt good. I felt good about that whole situation, but I'm right. I believe I'm actually right about that shit. I'm for sure right. That's how it should be. I'm just saying. People fuck up out there. They fuck up a lot and they're not paying attention and it's annoying. So they need to know what's up. But that's real. That's real life. I got a little heated. I got going because I had so many ideas. I was getting like the other ideas about why this is funny. The coffee's kicked in for sure. The for sure coffee is in. Um, listen, here's a little insight of the dating scene in the comedy dating scene. Okay, if a comic, if you're if a comic, if you're dating a comic and he doesn't, if a comic, okay, we've messed up a lot already. We've messed up. The last 30 seconds have been really messed up. So we're gonna start all over again, and we're just gonna chill and take a deep breath because we're excited. We got excited. I'm hot. Okay, if a comic is dating you, if you're dating a comic and he doesn't want you to come to a comedy show, that means he likes you. Okay? This is for anybody who knows comedians. If we like you, then we don't want you coming to the comedy show. Okay? When a comic is like, "Hey, I got a show," and you're like, "I want to go," and you're like, "Nah, I'm just gonna go do my show. I'll hang out with you afterwards." That's because we like you. Okay? If we don't like you, we're asking you to come to the show because we want to kill two birds with one stone. That's what we're doing. That's a date to us. Okay? This is a little secret. I'm pulling back the curtain right now. If a comic really likes you, if you're dating if you're dating a comic out there and he invites you to a show, he's killing a bird with two stones, all right? But if he's like, "No, I'll hit you up after my show," he likes you. And these are simple facts, okay? These are simple facts that, they don't comics don't want me telling you this. They don't want me telling you this because I'm ruining their game. But I'm telling you this because you got to learn it. And I think it's fair that everybody knows what the playing field is because everybody should have their own advantages and we should all know. And that's why, ladies, you tell us what we should know and I'm telling you what you should know. So if you're out there and you're listening and you're dating a comedian and you want to get to know him, if he's like, you can't get offended if he's like, "Don't come to my show. I don't want you coming to my show because it's work and I want to do work and I want to hang out with my buddies and then I'll see you afterwards." It's because he likes you. That's as simple as it is. But if he's like, "Yeah, come to my show," and you keep coming to a show and that's where you're meeting him and you're always hanging at a comedy show with him, he doesn't like you. He's just dating you at the comedy show because he has to be there already. It's that simple. And, am I going to get some shit for telling everyone our secret? Yes. But whatever. It had to be known. Now, what do I want to know? What do I want to tell you about these Instagram models? What do I want to tell you about these Instagram models is they're just not a real person. That's not a real person. At the end of the day, and I talk about this with a lot of guys, and this goes back to my married friends back home and regular guys all over the world and everybody who knows anything about Instagram and that explore page. All these Instagram models are all over the place, right? They're all over the place. There's so many of them. And we look at them and we're like, "Wow, they're beautiful. They're sexy." But that is not somebody you could ever date. You cannot date an Instagram model. Now you could now no, let's not get confused. You could date a model. You could date a professional model who's like, "Oh, I have a print on Vogue magazine. I have a print on that billboard for this Chanel watch or some shit." You know what I mean? I don't know what they're modeling, but when they are actual professional models, that is separate from actually being an Instagram model. That's different. You cannot actually think that that's a real human being. No real human being could actually sit there and post a picture of themselves every single day without showing off a little bit of their personality and just having a normal post of like, "Hey, here's me and my friends." And it's what and you could be like, "Well, why? That's just what that Instagram's for." Okay, maybe. Or maybe they're addicted to the followers and likes. That's a real thing. That's a real thing in our society where there's people who are addicted to the likes and the views and what they're doing. They're addicted to it. But you're not a real person. You're not a real person. You have to be humble and have some sort of humility with anything you're doing in life. Okay? Even on my Instagram, it's not just fucking post of my podcast. It's not just post of stand up. I have like other shit that I think is funny, or I'll post like life experiences, like me on a trip or me with my nephews sometimes when they're there. Probably there would be way more family shit if I was around them, but like there is some realness to me. Like there's no realness to some of these Instagram models. Like in their stories there is. They're like, "Haha, we're out." You'll see them like at a bar, but it's like, "Yo, are you really that person?" Like that's like, imagine if I was like, "Hey mom, meet this girl." she's beautiful, but like, where is your personality? Like, I don't understand how some of these Instagram models don't have a little bit of like, I know some of them I actually follow, and they do their little Instagram posts, but then they have like fun stuff where they're just like, hey, this is me having a good time. I'm a real person. Like, there's a little bit of humility of them being like silly and ugly. Like, but if you're a girl and you have 2,000 pictures of just you in different bathing suits, that's a psychopath. That's not a real human being. That's not someone that would be able to listen to this podcast. That's not someone that I'd be able to get coffee with and just be like, yeah, so like, where are you from? Like, what do you like to do in life? Like, I can't even imagine how that's a real person. Like, that's fucking crazy that there's people out there. There's some comics like that too. I follow them. Some of them are my friends, and all they do is like post a picture of themselves all the time on stage or anything, even if it's just them posing like in a good picture. Like, it's like, oh, you're a fucking psychopath. You're a psychopath if all you can do is post a picture of yourself. That's fucking crazy. Like, there's nothing like, there's no like fun or like humility or like, it's different if you're posting stand-up clips. That's different. You're like, you're sharing your stand-up, you're trying to sell tickets, or if you're sharing your podcast clip, I have no problem with that. It's actual just pictures of you like this. Even if it's like a guy, like, there's comics that do that. There's just like this, or always posting a picture on stage. Do that every once in a while, but every single day, that's crazy. You're into yourself too much. You have to have humility in life. That's very important. And I don't think it's only with Instagram, but I think about it all the time when I see these Instagram models, because, yeah, they're gorgeous, and you'll click on their page and you'll look at them and you're like, wow, this girl's really hot. But it's like, there's no way I could ever get along with her. There's no way we could ever just lay in bed and laugh about some shit. I just don't see how that's possible. How is she not always on her phone worried about that world? Like, you have an extreme addiction if you're in that life. Like, if you have 500,000 followers and every single post is you in a bikini, you're addicted to your phone. There's no way. There's no way you're fucking posting and putting your phone down and just living life a little bit. There's no way. That's literally a psychotic person. Like, there are people that are in this world that are like psychologically messed up because of Instagram. That's a fact. That's a fact for sure, that we have a lot of messed up people in this world because of social media. Guess what? I'm one of them. And I got coffee on my upper lip. So, also, you these Instagram models, like, they want guys with watches. You know what I mean? They want guys who like wear watches and shit. They want money. They want That makes me sad too, man. Anything that's driven behind money, then you've been fooled. You've been fooled. That's what it is. Unless you can grow out of it. Now, here's something like this. I watched the episode of Kim Kardashian on David Letterman's show on Netflix, okay? I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I watched the episode and I immediately became a fan of Kim. Okay, I was never not a fan of Kim Kardashian. I was always just aware of what they were doing, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of stupid that there's so many fans. And I get it. I get why people are famous, even when I get why anyone is famous. I really do. Even when people be like, well, they're not even talented. I go, there's something they're doing that people are connecting to. You don't get famous for no reason. There's no just luck. There's something they're doing that people like, and they can hone it. Okay, like even the Catch Me Outside girl. Do you remember her? If you don't know her, just Google it. It was this girl. She was like 15, and she was on Dr. Drew. But they had her on, and then they had her on multiple times because even they realized, oh, this girl has something. Even if it's unlikable, she's got something there that is entertaining. And now she is a big star, right? She's an entertainment star, does music or whatever. I don't even know. I'm sure she's doing financially fine, and she's probably only like 19 or 18. Who knows how old she is? But, and it was pushed through, being an idiot and bad behavior. And sure, I'm not saying it's healthy, but I understand why it worked, if that makes any sense. I'm explaining why I understand when things do get popular. Now, going back to the Kim interview, I think she's pretty, like, for what she is, for when you are that famous as a person, your life isn't private anymore, and people never hear you out as much. You're easily criticized every day, all the time. And it goes back to a little bit with Kanye and Joe Rogan. I think people in their situation are misunderstood a little bit. I really do. I don't think that Kim is actually a bad person. I think she is just widely misunderstood. But I actually, if you watch that interview, she has humility. She's humbled, and she is not as dumb as you might think. Like she has good intentions and wants to grow as a person. And I don't know if that's because she is also, I think she's actually a little bit older than me. I think she's in her late 30s, maybe almost 40. And I think for how she became famous and who she is, knowing her story and what she wants to do going forward and how she wants to actually be a positive impact in society, actually it was so likable and makes you understand her a lot more and appreciate her. So I suggest everybody check out that interview. It was actually pretty incredible, but it made me realize it made me realize like there's another time where I was just like, I always had this thought of Kim and thought, okay, she's just someone who is selling sex and image, and that's it, and she likes the attention, and she's actually not. She's using the attention for good, but she's also a businesswoman. She's also a businesswoman that anyone else would be taking the same situation, would be doing the same sort of thing in that situation, because that's what you do. You want to keep working and be innovative and try different things, but she's also trying to do things socially, like as a social justice warrior, and like help things politically. She wants to try to help people that are less fortunate, and she comes from a law background. Her dad was a lawyer, and she's actually finishing up some law school right now herself. So that was actually pretty surprising, and I thought, wow, I would have never thought that about her. And sometimes you just misunderstand people because you think they're famous and they just have an amazing life. And I think I spoke about this a few episodes ago, that it doesn't matter how much money you are, how famous you are. Everybody has those same feelings that we all have. Like, when I got emotional last week, and I was talking about those feelings, that anybody can have those feelings. It doesn't matter what your social status is, because we all are human, and we should never take that away from anyone because they have a better life financially. That doesn't mean that they aren't allowed to be sad or suffer or go through personal things. You know what I mean? Like she talks about her story about how she was robbed when she was in Paris, and it was actually a pretty traumatic experience. I didn't know it was that traumatic. I thought that she just got robbed, like someone ran up and grabbed her purse. I didn't know it was that traumatic. And it's like I didn't even think about how that could fuck someone up emotionally. And it's not even fair that we don't even have empathy for people that are that successful when something bad happens to them, because we're like, they'll be all right. That's usually what we do. They'll be all right. They got fucking $100 million. They're gonna be all right. Who cares? They're fine. They're alive. Like, no, like that's not the way we should be. We shouldn't be that way. We should have compassion and empathy for everybody, no matter what the situation is. And sometimes, if you actually take some time to learn about people, you actually find out that And this goes back to what my mom always says. Like, I think for the most part, everybody is a good person, and that you just have to get to know them and maybe catch them at the right time. That they're not that everybody's intentions are to be good. And I think you realize that with time and age. Like, even people that you thought were bullies when you were in elementary school or high school, you now might know as an adult and see that they're normal, and they were actually going through shit themselves. Like, maybe they didn't have their parents there for them like I did. Looking back on stuff like that, I'm like, oh, they didn't have the the same love and opportunities that I did. Like, looking back, when there was like some kids I was annoyed with in high school and scared of. The reason they were like that was because they didn't. It really was because they didn't have the upbringing that I did. They didn't have their two parents showering them with love. Like, that really is a big, like, if there's a kid bullying, there's a reason. There's these psychologists that it's easy to pinpoint why they are this way, because at the end of the day, it comes back to the household. It comes back to the home. Like, something is going on, and that's them. That's how they're expressing their frustration. That's really what it is. And it's like, when you're a kid, you can't think that deeply, and you don't even realize it. But that's really what the truth is. Like, as an adult, you can look back and be like, "Oh man, I feel bad for those people. I feel bad for those bullies, or the people going through harder times in their homes. You never know what was going on, which is fucked up because Bill Maher brought up a certain story that was fucked up. Was there was a hockey player that was getting drafted by like the Phoenix team, the Coyotes or something, and they canceled him. I want to say canceled him because they found out he was a bully in high school. So they're like, wow, he was a bad kid in high school, so we don't want him to be able to play hockey. I don't know the story. I should have obviously Googled it before, but I didn't even know I was going to talk about this. But this is a true story. If you Google the Phoenix hockey player that they were trying to cancel because he was a bully in high school and they want to stop him from getting like a scholarship or something. I don't know what the details are, but that's really fucked up to stop someone on many different levels to like, hey, we're not going to give someone an opportunity, even though that was something years ago. We're not going to give them an opportunity, especially when they're in high school and you're immature and you don't really care about what's right and wrong. But also knowing what causes someone to be a bully is not because they're evil in the brain. It's because he had some issues that he was dealing with probably at home or with friends. Like that was some psychological issues, and he was expressing himself at high school, and by being by being an asshole in high school. It's like, listen, if like bullies aren't bad people, especially if it's in high school or middle school. It's like there's something else going on, and it's a deeper issue, and it's psychological, and that's fucked up to even say or want to wish bad upon those people, because in a way they are victims too. I hope this all makes sense. I don't know if that was too much, but wow, to go from Instagram models to that, huh? To go from fucking Instagram models being crazy to them wanting to be guys, them wanting to be with just like watch guys, which I'm not a watch guy, but what do I got going on? Oof, too much to finish today. I want to take it back on. I want to bring it back to. I want to end it on this level because the other two I could use for next week. Two things. I want to bring. Like I should have done this after the Thanksgiving thing, but like thinking about how I don't like necessarily going with societal terms or norms, societal norms, right? Like my whole dream of like if I have a house, I don't want it to be the way that everybody says your house has to be. And I think that this is an interesting perspective that I would like to hear if people were like, "No, I disagree with that." And I want to know why people hold on to stuff like this. Like if I have a house, everybody's house has, you have your kitchen, and then you have a TV room or living room, and then you have a dining room, right? And then you have the bedrooms, right? And if you have, sometimes people make a bedroom an office, if you have kids, it's their rooms. But like why do we have to have that? Because everybody else has that. It's normal to like why do we have a dining room? Like I remember growing up in my house, we had a dining room, we had a living room, and we had a TV room. And then we had our bedrooms and the kitchen, right? But we had a dining room, TV room, and a living room. The TV room, we would end up eating in there, watching TV, right? As we got older. But we also had a kitchen table in our kitchen. So we would eat in the kitchen. But the dining room was just there for looks. What was that really there for? It was there for Thanksgiving and then maybe a Christmas Eve to put food on it. But that's really it. So it's really only getting used twice a year. Maybe a birthday, maybe 5 times a year it's getting used. But what was that really there for? Because societal norms said, "Hey, this is what you do when you have a house. You have a living room and a dining room." Right? And the dining room it's got this big table, a nice dining room table, and then there's china in the cabinet behind there that nobody can use the china, by the way. The china is just there for looks because it looks pretty back there, and it makes the whole dining room look like an experience. And this goes so far to where, as on The Price is Right, they would say, "How much does this dining room cost? We're going to sell it to you." But nobody uses the dining room. Like nobody's eating at the dining room every day for dinner. That would be different. They usually eat, unless they don't have a kitchen table in their kitchen. But I had a kitchen table in our kitchen. So why do we have the dining room? To use for 5 times a year? So I never understood that. I thought that was stupid, that like you're not getting as much use out of the room as you possibly could. And I'll get to my point. But that now going to the living room. The living room, we had a piano in there, an old piano, not like a grand piano, like a piano that was small enough to fit in there, and then you had 2 nice couches, and then like a nice little coffee table, and like a rocking chair, and then like some cool art. But nobody really sat in there, because why would you sit in there? Because if you're gonna sit anywhere, you would sit in the TV room. So that little living room we had would be maybe if a neighbor was walking down the street and my mom wanted to catch up with her, and they sat in that room and maybe had tea. But really, how often was that room used? Less than 15, 20 times a year. There's 365 days in the year. That living room was never used that much growing up. Looking back, it was never. My mom would be in there and hang out in there on the phone sometimes, when there was still like a wire that would connect, so she had to only sit there. Once there was a portable phone, she would go to her room, or she would go to the TV room and talk on the phone. But the living room, she never was in there. Only when there wasn't portable phones, but it would never get used. So why do we have that? Just to make you feel good when you walk in? Is it really making you feel that much better? Better than what working out does for you, or what listening to music does for you, which we'll get into the listening music part in a second. But what's the point of having these rooms because of societal norms saying like, hey, this is what you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to have these rooms? Why are we doing that? My whole thing is like, why would I ever have a dining room? Because if I'm gonna have people over, then I could pull out a table and have food out for them in a different way. I don't need to have a whole room designated for maybe 4 parties a year. And the same with the living room. My whole thing is like, why can't I have different type of themed rooms? Why can't my house be an experience for not only me, but for when people come to it? Yes, I have a kitchen, and yes, I have a TV room, right? Why I'll watch sports or movies or play video games. I have that experience. And then if I have multiple rooms, I could have a theater room, sure. But why am I having the dining and living room? Why can't I have an 80s room? Why can't I have a room that's it's an 80s theme? Like I have an 80s, I have the 80s rug, right? I have like a record player. I have, wallpaper. Like it's just like the theme of it, the energy of it is an 80s room. And then I have a 90s room. That's my idea. Like I have instead of a dining room and a living room, I have an 80s room and a 90s room, and they're vibes. And then you hang out and it's just experience. People come over and they go, "Oh, this is interesting," but they won't forget that. And then that thought and that experience is forever. I created that for them, as opposed to if they come over and they hang out in the dining room and the living room. They're just like, "Oh, I hung out at their house. I said hi. We caught up and we talked about we talked about meals we cook." No, no, no. They come over. Oh, I had a fun time. Interesting thing. I was at his house. He had an 80s room and a 90s room. I'll never forget that. And now that's an experience that I put in somebody else's life. Isn't that kind of deeper and cooler? Don't you think so? I think that would be cooler. Now, if I had multiple rooms and I had a room for myself, right? Let's say me and my wife have a bedroom, and we have 2 beds in our bedroom, 2 kings next to each other in case we want our own space, more space. That's not necessary. But let's say me and my wife, we have a room, right? And then we have kids and they have rooms. But then we have additional rooms like an 80s and a 90s room. But we still also have space for a living and a dining room. Now what do I do? Well, I have a grand piano, and I have a little bit, and I have a music room. Not maybe a music room where we record music, but like, why have a dining room when you could have a grand piano room with like music influences, like people that influenced you artistically with music, and then you could play music in there, and you could hang out in there, and you could dance. You could even have a little slow dance, but you have wine next to the piano music. Like that's more of a experience that I would appreciate every day than a dining room. And then for a living room, a movie room is always another option, but also just so many other cooler ideas you could have that you would experience or use every day, rather than having things that just make you feel good when you walk in. I feel like you could get more fulfilling experiences from being creative with rooms that aren't necessarily societal norms. That would probably be a fight if you did meet a girl and you got married and you're like, hey, let's get our own house. She would be like, no way, we're decorating the house like that. She's going to argue with you about it. Or he would, maybe. I don't know. Whoever. I don't want to make it a sexist thing, but I feel like a woman, they care about the way their house looks more, as opposed to like you would get more from life if you had more of a creative experience with the different rooms that you would use for yourself. That would be even cooler for other people to enjoy. Does this make sense? Or do you think I'm a crazy person? Because I honestly think that this is a brilliant idea. And it goes back to like the wedding, how I would have a fun wedding. Like why do we have to do things a certain way? It makes it less fun. So I just think that is something cool I wanted to share with you guys, that I think that people should for sure think about that. And then the whole thing about listening to music, have you ever listened to music when you don't have to? Because sometimes we listen to music when we work out, right? And then we'll listen to music when we are in the car, right? Two common places you listen to music, but have we ever just tried to sit down and vibe and listen to music? That's a different experience. Maybe you're doing work on your computer. Maybe you're hanging out watching TV and you mute the TV because what are you watching? Just like highlights or something? If it's like Sports Center, you don't need to hear it, right? But if you're watching a movie, that's different. But maybe you're just hanging out and you're doing some work, you're doing laundry. Have you ever just listened to music and let the music hit you? That's different. That's a different experience than when you're working out or you're driving in the car. But to actually take some time to listen to music, I think feeds the soul. I really do believe that, and I feel like it makes you a better person. It's therapeutic, and it's a different type of therapy as opposed to talking to someone. How this could be therapy for me. How I'm talking and I have a good flow, and right now the flow of the podcast is smooth. The last 20 minutes of the podcast have been way better than the first 40. That's for sure. There's a good flow going on because I believe in what I'm saying too. Whereas before I was trying to find things to make bits about sometimes. With the Christmas tree thing, I felt good about that. But at the beginning of the podcast, I felt like, oh, I'm figuring it out. I'm figuring it out. I can't find it. And then ever since we switched to the 80s and 90s thing, I felt a real good groove. Like right now, I feel really good. And I think that's because of being more open and like I'm kind of, I feel like I don't want to confuse you guys, but like with the music, like you could just chill and like vibe to it and like let it soak into you, if that makes sense. There's different ways to be therapeutic, and it makes you feel better, and I feel like it's a healthier thing for the soul, spiritually, because that's what we are. We're spiritual. I feel like there's something in us. I don't know what. I don't know who it is. I don't know what the rules are. Nobody does. And if somebody ever tells you in life, no, I know this is for a fact. This is the religion I worship and believe in, and it's a fact. Then you go, well, you're a crazy person because you couldn't possibly know for sure. You can believe, fair, but I can be spiritual and feel like we all have energy. Energy is a real thing. I believe in energy. That's a real thing, and I feel like music helps our energy. It helps you feel better. It's therapeutic in a way. And like this podcast and doing this podcast, it's therapeutic. I think that you can get more out of life from doing things that would make you happy that wouldn't necessarily be normal and people would think is weird. I think a lot of people would disagree with my whole view of decorating a house. I just don't agree with like every house you walk into has the same thing. We have a dining room, we have a living room, kitchen, bedrooms, and then why? But why? Every person, go to every person you know and be like, how often do you use your dining room? Sometimes never. My buddy has a dining room. They never use it. Most people have a kitchen table in their kitchen and they eat in the kitchen. Most people are eating in the kitchen. They use the dining room for holidays. I'm on to something. All right. Well, that's just how I believe, bro. That's how I believe. And that's just what I believe. I feel good. That was a fun episode. I had fun there. I felt really connected there in the end. That's it this week. So everybody have a safe weekend. And then I'll check in with you next week. Next week we'll have our Thanksgiving episode, obviously, because I will do it before Thanksgiving. And we'll see how LA is. We'll see if it got worse. And I'll probably have a better idea of when I'm going to be in Florida. Also, don't forget, I'm doing a show at West Palm Beach Improv, December 22nd, 8 p.m. So if you live in Florida, come to the show. It'll be really important for you to come there. We'll have a good time. We'll vibe. Everybody will have fun. So I'll see you guys next week. I'm out. Bye.
The Takeover.
Okay. Did we start? Yeah, we did. That's how I start.
Takeover.
Now, there's a lot of things we're going to get in eventually. When I speak, and when I speak, and when I speak.
This is Takeover.